We have all seen what controlled plays look like at the highest level. The culmination of thousands of hours of game sense, learning, and training has led to players achieving the seemingly impossible level of control. Mechanics like these have become the standard among the highest ranked players. It would normally take thousands of hours to fully understand it, but this tutorial shortens those thousands of hours of learning by explaining everything needed to achieve perfect control. To achieve perfect control, you need to master control-related mechanics and have a deep understanding of how the opponents will behave in each situation. The first thing that needs to be addressed is what control actually is. People need to understand that just because you are close to the ball doesn't mean you have control over it. Control is when you have possession over the ball and actively try to create more options to extend your possession. People tend to mistake possession for control when all they're doing is sitting next to the ball and doing nothing with it. That is a huge mistake that will leave you vulnerable to attacks that should never work on you. If you aren't ready and in position to punish someone that challenges you, you don't really have control over the ball. You just have possession. Make sure you are always watching the opponents and learn to take control quickly. Control mechanics are sectioned into two different types. There is ground control and there is air control. Even though both types of control have the same goal of maintaining your possession, each section has different things you need to look out for to maintain them properly. The first thing that we'll go over is ground control. Dribbling is something that every Rocket League player needs to know how to do. It allows you to keep the ball close while ensuring you have multiple options available to maintain possession. To do this, you will need to bounce the ball on top of your car while making sure it doesn't roll off. This will require you to constantly control the speed of your car, the speed of the ball, and the ball's position on top of your car. This mechanic is difficult to learn for people with less Rocket League experience, but it is always easier to learn things one step at a time. The best way to start learning how to dribble is to simplify it as much as possible. Being perfectly aligned with the ball will completely remove the need for you to move left or right, and will only require you to move forwards or backwards. This will simplify dribbling and allow you to focus entirely on bouncing the ball. This will help you get used to the way the ball moves when it's on top of your car. If you want to be in this position, you can use this training pack to be perfectly aligned with the ball. If you use Bacchus mod, the ball might be out of position when doing this training pack. Go to your Bacchus mod settings, custom training, and disable all the check marks. This will prevent the ball from moving on each reset. Once you are able to bounce the ball well enough, you can start learning how to move in more than just two directions. This is something that will take a long time to master, but there are a few tips that will help you if you're struggling. Tip number 1. Try to use the circle beneath the ball as guidance for your dribbles. You can use it to better understand how you need to position your car to achieve what you want. The further you are away from the center, the faster the ball will move in the opposite direction. Tip number 2. Make sure you aren't overcorrecting yourself. It is very common for people learning this mechanic to constantly shift around to bounce the ball. Try to smooth out your dribbles and just let the ball naturally adjust itself. The first step to mastering your dribbles is to know how to maximize your options as much as possible while doing it. Many players will end up dribbling improperly and limit their options without even realizing. A common mistake that people make is that they tend to dribble with the ball too far ahead of their car. The reason that people do this is to constantly be positioned to flick the ball forward, but this is actually a bad thing. Doing this will make your dribbles weaker because it limits the things you can do with the ball. You shouldn't put yourself into the flicking position if you aren't going to flick almost immediately. This is a very easy thing to fix. Just dribble with the ball closer to the top of your car so you won't limit yourself. It is a very small thing, but it will make your dribbling stronger by giving you more options to attack. The next step to fixing your dribbles is understanding how to dribble against opponents wanting to challenge you. Whenever you are dribbling, it is important to watch your opponents carefully. You've probably been caught off guard and challenged by an opponent while you are dribbling. It can sometimes lead to very unfortunate goals that should have never happened. This can be very frustrating, especially in ones. Paying close attention to your opponent's positioning and maintaining your vision on them is the best way to face these kinds of situations. Having more information on the opponent's positioning, boost, and offensive tendencies is the information you need to counter them. Gathering any amount of information will help you understand when the opponents are going to challenge, and better prepare you for them. Higher skill opponents will try their best to hide behind the ball in order to limit the amount of information you can gather. This is one of the things you need to look out for. You should try to dribble in positions where you have as much vision on the opponents as possible, so you can understand how to deal with the situation. You don't need to guess when the opponents are challenging every single time. You just need to keep your eyes on the opponent and counter them accordingly. The final thing I would recommend is focusing on your ability to instantly control the ball in any situation. Not all situations are created equal. Only being able to do a mechanic under the ideal conditions means the mechanic is nothing more than a party trick. To obtain absolute control, I would recommend doing a few things. 1. Try to push the limits of your dribbling. Try to dribble as slow as you can and as fast as you can without losing control of the ball. This will help you better control the ball in more difficult situations. 2. Practice dribbling without using boost. Boost makes dribbling easier, but you will eventually run into situations where using boost to correct your dribbling is something you can't afford to do. Being able to dribble without using boost is necessary. 3. Focus on your catches. One of the most important things in any controlled play is the first touch. It can make or break your entire play. So being able to catch the ball and begin dribbling quickly will be needed for high-level gameplay. Learning these three things will allow you to dribble effectively in any situation. Mechanics should be treated as an extension to your normal gameplay. You simply use it when the situation calls for it. There's more to ground control than just learning how to dribble. Control is something that can be applied to any play as long as it meets the definition of control. Control is having possession over the ball and creating more options to extend it. So if you are hitting the ball in places that allow you to keep your possession while leaving other options available, that will still count as control. The most important thing is the ability to think ahead of the play. You should never hit the ball only for the sake of hitting it. Every touch you make should have clear intention for what you want it to accomplish. As long as you have the game sense to think ahead and the mechanical consistency to pull it off, you can turn almost anything into a controlled play. This is something that will also be applicable to the next sections ahead. Air dribbling has started to become an essential mechanic in high-level gameplay. It allows you to control the ball in the air and create dangerous plays from very little. To do this mechanic, you'll need to understand how to get good consecutive aerial touches on the ball that send it in the desired direction. The first thing you'll need to learn is how to stay close to the ball the entire time during your air dribble. The best way to achieve this is to have the momentum of your car going the same direction as the ball. This will naturally keep you closer to it. Try to get as many touches as you can during the air dribble, and eventually you'll learn how to keep up with the ball. The second step is the most important one, learning how to direct the ball to maintain your dribble. Whenever you are air dribbling, your touches are the thing that maintains it, so being able to consistently get good touches is necessary. Try to maintain the ball's position ahead of your car and slightly above you. This will keep the ball in a favorable position to not only change the ball's direction, but to also keep it from falling. This is the kind of air dribbling that is mainly used by freestylers because of how much control it gives you over the ball. Even though this kind of air dribble is extremely inefficient for competitive play, I would still recommend you learn how to do it. Learning to do these kind of air dribbles will help you understand how the ball behaves with each touch. It's building a necessary foundation that you can use in the future. Learning how to do basic air dribbles can be very difficult for new players, so here's a few tips that will help you. Tip number 1. Make sure you have some distance between you and the ball before popping it off the wall. This is a very small thing, but it will make the ball go further away from the wall and make it easier to start the air dribble. This can also help send the ball in the direction you want and save your boost in the process. Tip number 2. Your first touch is the most important for the start of an air dribble. Try your hardest to get a strong first touch on the ball that sends it in the direction you want to go. The first touch on the ball is the setup you have to work with for the remainder of the dribble. A strong first touch will make a strong air dribble. Basic air dribbling is far too inefficient for modern high-level gameplay. It burns through too much boost for very little distance. Learning how to get a few strong individual touches will maximize your distance and save your boost. To do this, try to hit the ball with the corners of your car and as strong as you can for each hit. Your knowledge on basic air dribbles will be extremely useful here. Because you know how the ball behaves with each touch, you can use that foundation to understand how to hit the ball effectively while applying the fundamentals of air dribbling. Getting strong individual touches is what all high-ranked competitive players do to maximize the distance on their air dribbles. The amount of control you get with basic air dribbles isn't needed in most cases. The most important thing is making the ball move quickly and efficiently. Now that we know how to do air dribbles fit for competitive play, it is time to learn how to use it against opponents. There are typically two methods for challenging aerial plays. The first method is to challenge from the ground. The second method is to challenge from the ceiling. In order to counter these kinds of challenges, you need to understand the full context of the situation. There are many factors that need to be considered when doing these kinds of plays, so having high-level game sense is important. The goal is to get the best possible outcome. To do this, players need to pay attention to how the opponent challenges, how much boost everyone has, and where everyone is positioned for the play. When countering opponents, players will generally have 4 options available to them. These options are to go above, go below, change the direction, or 50 the ball. Making sure that each of these options are available while air dribbling is the first step to being able to counter opponents. The next step is to know what counter to use during each situation. This can be very hard to judge, because some situations will have multiple correct solutions. I believe it is best to describe where each solution excels instead. Solution 1. Going above. This is a viable solution when you have the boost advantage and can use it to go high if it's unguarded. Solution 2. Going below. This is a viable option when high is guarded, you have low boost, or you want to take a different approach. It could also be used to fake opponents. Solution 3. Changing the direction. This is a viable option for when you want to get the ball around an opponent while keeping control. Solution 4. 50 the ball. This is a viable option when you need to stall for time or if you have no other options left. It can also be used to force the ball into a favorable position. Understanding where each solution does best will help you decide what you should be picking. There will always be other factors to consider, but the most important factor to consider is your teammate. Paying attention to your teammate's position is something that many players end up neglecting. If your aerial attack will result in you leaving your teammate in a bad position, you should reconsider the play you're making. The one thing you'll always need to make sure of is to never leave your teammate in a 2v1 situation. Offensive aerial plays can be very complex and have multiple correct answers for dealing with the situation. There isn't always a definitive answer for every scenario. Just use your game sense and intuition to make the best judgment for each instance. Flip resets allow you to regain your flip while airborne. This will give you more options to maneuver the ball in the air when you normally wouldn't be able to. To do this mechanic, you will need to land all 4 of your wheels on the ball. This will give you an infinite dodge timer. To properly do a reset, there are 2 things that you need to make sure of: where you are landing your wheels and where the ball is positioned after you fall from it. For most resets, you want to land your wheels slightly behind the ball. Getting a reset that keeps the ball in front of you and slightly above you is ideal. Doing this will ensure that you are able to stay in a strong position to use the reset effectively. There are a few tips that will make it easier. Tip number 1. Try to have some distance between you and the ball before going for the reset. This will make getting the reset easier. If your front wheels are constantly getting in the way as you're trying to go for the reset, this might be the reason. Tip number 2. Whenever you are going for a reset, try to send yourself flying into the ball to get your wheels strongly planted on the ball. This will do 2 things. It will make getting resets more consistent and slightly send the ball away from you. This will prevent you from getting awkward resets where you're still glued to the ball and out of position. Over the years, resets have gone from being only a freestyle mechanic to being used at the highest level of competitive play. There are 3 kinds of resets that people normally use in high-level gameplay: the standard reset, rapid reset, and the reset pop. Mastering resets is about being able to do these 3 consistently. Rapid resets are very good at making just about any aerial play 10 times more dangerous. The reason why rapid resets are so dangerous is because you will constantly have a reset ready to use against someone. To do a rapid reset, you will need to use your existing flip reset to flip into the ball in a way that lands your wheels on it again, gaining you another reset. The most important part of rapid resets is being able to keep the ball ahead of you each time you do it. Messing up a rapid reset by having bad timing or any other issues will certainly kill the play that you're going for. It is a very risky thing to do, but if you can pull it off consistently, your attacks will be much more threatening. Reset pops are a mechanic that allow you to instantly launch the ball after getting a reset. It is an incredibly useful mechanic that can change the direction of your aerial play. To do this mechanic, you will need to do a diagonal flip as soon as you land all 4 of your wheels on the ball. This will send the ball flying depending on the direction of your flip and where you are positioned relative to the ball. There are 2 things I would recommend doing to get consistent reset pops. The first thing is your setup for each attempt. Letting the ball fall into you instead of you trying to fly into the ball yourself is something that you need to start doing. This alone will drastically improve your chances of getting a strong reset pop. The second thing to look out for is making sure that you're matching your speed with the ball. This will make it easier to position yourself as the ball falls towards you. Doing these 2 things will help you get a consistent reset pop. Now that you know more about high-level control, it is important to understand that consistency is the most important thing about it. After my personal thousands of hours of experience, I will tell you that gaining higher levels of consistency over more advanced methods of control will help you become a better player. Without consistency, these mechanics will nearly be as useful as they should be. Achieving perfect control is achieving freedom to do what you wish with the ball. Stop wasting opportunities given to you and start taking control over your games. Anyways, thanks for watching and don't get tilted.